Oh, look, I found this amazing beach in a river in Oxford, and I'm just going to go swimming with my 3-year-old. It's amazing. And you just go, oh, just shut up.
It's still my aching side.
People actually find it funny.
Name them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all the people that watch this and not your show.
He's gone in low.
It's like actually being with Oscar Wilde.
First up, we have Mike Graham, who I'd just like to point out isn't drinking his own urine. That is wine.
Yeah, this is
Tastes like...
apparently. I mean, I've never drunk my own urine, but
No, but you know, you might want to listen to Bear Grylls
this tastes
a
a
bit
bit
more.
better.
That's similar.
Tell us
That's
about
similar.
Tell us about parking tickets while you try and swallow that.
Sorry. They've given me this and called it wine. I don't know where they found it.
I don't know what
That could be one of your grumps.
awful
It could
colour.
be, yeah. Anyway, listen, I want to talk to you about parking tickets today because the world has gone completely mad now. As we were walking back along the promenade with Ziggy, you know,
That's his
hasn't got a
dog,
care
just
in
in
the
case
world.
you think he's
Yeah.
called his child that.
Yeah, and some people do. I
Ziggy
saw
the
the
traffic
guy,
warden.
I saw the traffic warden, and I thought, you complete and utter... I'm not even going to say it because we've been told not to swear, so I'm not going to say it. Plank, perhaps. And sure enough, I got back to the car, and there it was, right on the front windscreen, a ticket.
Well, that's where they tend to put them.
That's where they put them.
Yeah.
And I opened it up, and it was pathetic, right? It wasn't even more than... No, I mean, when you get one in London, it's 80 quid.
Yeah,
Down there...
you know you've
How
got
much?
them.
How
it
much?
was 50 quid, right? With a discount of 50%, only £25. But it's just like, where does that money go, right? Rother Council is about to be subsumed by East Sussex Council. It's going to disappear. Eastbourne Council is going to disappear.
Well, I think you've
All
given
of
them.
these...
I think you've given them a tip, Mike. They're going to start issuing more tickets because it's a good source of funding.
Yeah, but I was
you're
the
more
only
than
guy.
willing
I
to
was
pay it.
literally the only guy parked in the spot that I was in, which has enough space for about 50 cars, right? So they're paying a guy to give me one ticket for 25 quid, right? Over the course of the last year, I have probably spent what would have been for them over £200, which they haven't had because I haven't bothered giving it to them. So they're in £175 of a loss.
You've
What's
really
the
done the
point?
maths on this. Have you ever
I
had
have.
any parking
Tickets.
interactions with wardens?
Yeah, a few. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course, like everyone.
I mean, low-key, calm ones, obviously.
I think the most annoying thing with parking wardens is when you catch them mid-ticket and they pretend, well, I've started it, so I can't, I have to finish
Like
it.
Mastermind.
It's not true.
No.
It's not true. I knew
By
it.
law, they have to be. It has to be on the car.
Yeah, I once met a parking warden, traffic warden, socially. And I asked, well, it was happening. It was
Why?
in a group, God knows why.
How?
It was in a group that I was in. So, I said, what do you do? And he said, I'm a parking
in
warden.
your local dock?
I don't hang around with parking wardens.
Jesus. You know, in Edinburgh, when I was
He's a
in Edinburgh...
Freemason.
But anyway, he said...
When I was in Edinburgh, let me tell you, the only people who would be thinking that parking wardens was a job up from the last job they did was big issue sellers.
Yeah.
And they thought it's a step up to be a parking warden because everybody hates you.
Look,
Well, but
this-
the point is, he said that it's absolutely... He said every parking warden will tell you, I've started the ticket, so I have to finish it by law. He said it's absolutely not true. So when they do that to you, they are just being so-and-sos.
Yes,
He said,
and I,
unable to swear.
And look, I can't. I find it difficult to comment on this because I've got a bad parking history.
Have you?
I once came back to my car being towed away, and they hadn't quite got it in the truck, so I thought cleverly, I'll jump in the car.
Yes.
He
That's
put
always
me
a
on
good
the back
plan.
of the truck
Yeah.
and drove me. I was in the back of the truck getting driven. So I rang the police and said I'd been kidnapped.
Right?
Yeah.
That's also a good plan.
Yeah.
When I lived in New
Worked
York,
out,
right?
no ticket, got
when
the
I
car back.
when I lived in New York, my ex-wife had a Dodge Colt, it's a very small car, which had so many parking tickets on it that it was when it was once towed away, I rang up the Pound, which is sort of somewhere on the lower west side, and they said, yeah, we got the car, but you're going to have to pay about $1,100 in parking tickets.
Keep it.
And I just went, yeah. I said, just
Keep it.
keep it. And they went, what? I said, just keep it. And they went, you can't do that. You've got to pay the ticket. I said, I'm not paying. Not interested. They didn't know what to do. Absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, I just think we should do away with parking tickets altogether. We should do away with parking apps altogether because that is also a nightmare. If you're in the wrong car park, say, for example, in London, you've got the wrong app, you can't pay for the damn thing.
No.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
Are you paying for your parking right now?
It's
Kev, on
raising
your phone?
revenue through minor traffic offences. It's the American.
Where does the money go,
It's
though?
the American way. Britain has taken on the mantle of that. The money goes into the local borough so they can pay each other enormous
But this is my
astronomical
point.
salaries.
On that particular morning, Rother Council are paying this bloke, I presume they're paying him, even if they're paying him minimum wage, they're paying him, 70 quid to do a 7-hour shift. He's collected one ticket from me, £25. They're already making a loss.
Well, after that long grump, you want to talk about long films.
Yes, I do. It's on the back of the newly released film starring Adrian Brody.
Is that a vape?
No, it's a pen. Starring Adrian
You're allowed
Brody.
to vape,
It's
is it?
called The Brutalist.
Yeah. Oh.
And it goes on.
And it's a load of
It's about an architect. It's
Great.
about a modernist
That's great.
architect. Not exactly the most compelling of topics. It goes on for 3 hours and 35 minutes.
What?
So long it's got an intermission. And, you know, I used to be a film critic. I would have had to watch this. Friends of mine have been to see it and said it is indeed the dullest thing they've ever seen.
It
could easily be chopped in half and still be a viable
Can
film.
I ask you a question about when you
Yeah.
were a TV critic?
Yeah.
Did you ever fast forward through long films and not bother watching the whole thing?
Well, I didn't. When I was a TV critic, no, you know what? You won't believe this, but I did have a sort of honourable contract. I'm serious. I'm serious. You ask Ali Ross of the Sun. I never shortchanged the readers. I always watched every moment of every programme, and boy, did I suffer because of that. Other films.
It's not like digging in a coal mine.
But The Brutalist, 3 hours and yeah, that's right. It was a tough job.
I did my
folks.
job.
Man.
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, man.
Crikey.
Whole episode of EastEnders.
The Irishman, which I went to watch in the cinema.
I like The Irishman.
3 hours and 29 minutes, no intermission.
No.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
no.
Now you're talking.
3 hours and
What a
26
turgid piece of rubbish
3
that
hours
was.
26 minutes. Now, what this is
Crikey.
all about? This is about directors like what's his name, Stephen
Martin Scorsese.
Martin Scorsese,
Scorsese.
Steven Spielberg, who are the studios
McQueen.
are so in awe of that when they come and say, "I made this movie, it's 3 hours and 45 minutes," the studios go, "Great,"
Yeah.
because they haven't got the guts to go around and say,
Because-
"I'll tell you what, Martin, go and chop it in half and we'll talk."
But didn't they used to have editors? I remember I bought the DVD version of Apocalypse Now, Redux version, right? And they'd added in 20 minutes, which had been cut out.
Now, you know, director's cut, you don't want them.
The director's cut. And the 20 minutes was all about, I don't know how well people who are watching this know the film, but there's a scene where Marlon Brando ends up in this sort of house halfway up the river, in the Mekong Delta.
Oh, yes.
And he's talking to all these French people. And in the actual movie, and in the actual movie, it's about a 5 or 10 minute scene. In the Redux version, it goes on for half an hour, and it's crap.
Yeah, but
it's
it's
just rubbish.
these are called director's cuts. They
Yeah.
did it for the
Director's what?
director's cut.
No,
so
I
in
thought
other
you
words,
were
no.
missing out a
Well,
letter
you want to
there.
know how it
Director's-
goes. What happens is they make the movie. The director gives the movie to the
Director's a
studio,
cunt.
and the studio goes, well, "This is a load of boring crap. We've got to cut this."
Yeah.
Now, then later on, they'll release what the director wanted to
Yeah.
release, and you realise the studios are always right.
Yeah, they know what
you know.
It's like the old days when you and I were in newspapers, you know, and you need editors, you need sub-editors, because no matter how wonderful the writers are, they would write forever.
yeah.
They would fill the whole
look what
paper.
happens
but in
when-
Hol- in Hol- in
you
Hol-
can
hold on.
cut that.
But editors in
happens
Hollywood,
when you-
editors in Hollywood are way down the pecking order. They're not in control. They do what they're told.
I mean, look what happens when people aren't edited.
Well,
This.
quite. We could, you know, we've all got time constraints.
So anyway, all of these films, 3 hours, 30 minutes, the studio should have some guts. Tell the directors, like Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, no, go back and make it palatable for the public. Nobody wants to see a 3 hour and 35-minute film, particularly if it's about modernist architecture.
You want to get old
And
Harry
of
Enfield on
course-
the case, don't
of
you? Oi,
course.
Scorsese. No!
And of course, well, exactly. That's exactly what needs to happen. But of course, it's up for every Oscar going because it's boring. Therefore, Oscar material.
Is it long and boring? You get an Oscar.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about people who talk too loudly on public
Very
transport.
good plan. Yes.
Only the other day, I found myself on the Central Line in London, which, you know,
pretty noisy, to be
It's
fair.
never a great experience.
No.
But these two blokes walk on, and they are like something out of a Harry Enfield sketch. You know, and they're sitting there. Yeah. I mean, you know, they're sitting there, guts out, little trousers, those shoes that mean you've given up on life.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
flat cap. One of them's wearing a mask.
No.
Yeah. The one in the mask,
Talking loudly through the mask.
and he goes, I was watching that 9/11 documentary the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was horrible watching those people drop out the building, and I came up with an idea, which was they should only allow buildings to be built sloping, so if people have to jump out, they can slide
That's a really good idea.
and end up in a lake.
Yeah, that
I
would be
like
right.
this.
Yeah, so like...
I mean,
That's good.
The thing
Why
is,
are you moaning about that?
But when people,
It's great information.
No,
But
'cause it
when
wouldn't work.
people talk loudly on the tube, it doesn't matter whether it is you're with your best friend, your wife, your children, or whatever. It is your job, especially with the children, to educate them. Shut up.
Right.
Say nothing.
Yeah.
This is public transport.
Yes.
We don't talk.
We're
Nobody,
not- we're
we don't
British.
want
We're British.
someone else's asinine chatter going on whilst I'm trying to get to my next destination.
Yeah, exactly right. And similarly, would you not say that you've noticed over the course of the last few months, many people now talking loudly into a phone, which is on a speaker, right?
Well, because
And
you can get a signal on the tube.
Yeah, you can. But I mean,
can't.
I will occasionally talk. No, well, you can't. You know, you can figure out your laptop. But you know, occasionally,
It's fixed.
Yeah, well,
Is
that's
it,
another
though?
story. Is it? I mean, the thing is, you know, if
Is
you,
the
if
X
I,
working
if
on
I
this new one?
talk,
Yes.
Oh,
if
good.
I talk, yeah,
You can look at those
he's able
websites
to,
again.
He's able to search for the things he used to search for with alacrity.
Certificate.
If I happen to be on the tube for a short period of time and I happen to be on the phone, it is bizarre that you can actually still get a signal.
Yeah.
Because I can't get a signal sometimes in my street, right? But you know, I've got headphones in. Nobody's hearing what the person I'm talking to is saying, and I try not to talk too loudly because it's impolite.
But I think it
But
shows.
who thinks it's a
but
great
I
idea to
think
have a
it
speakerphone?
shows a level of kind of. Well, I mean, basically, you're a half-wit.
Yeah.
Because I feel embarrassed for them that they don't realise they're so unaware that they don't realise that the rest of the tube hates them.
Yeah.
For talking too loudly.
Well.
Although I do like the guy with the sloping building idea.
Well, I mean,
if you could get useful ideas like that from loud talkers,
you know, travel on the Central Line. I'm sure that guy's going up and down giving his weird theories on everything.
I'm pretty sure if you jumped off the 107th floor of a building and landed on a sloping piece of glass, I don't think you would have.
No, but they're saying that the whole
building
should be
sloped. No, I know that, but I don't think you'd have a
you
better
wouldn't
ending.
jump off. You just walk down it.
He did throw in.
How would he walk down
Because that's the idea that the building's like that instead of like that, so you can walk down it.
Hold on, Kev.
You weren't on
like
Kev. A scoot.
No, he's not. He's talking about making the building
Why are you
slope.
defending this lunatic?
Because I like the sound of him. He's a man with interesting ideas.
Crikey.
Kev, you weren't on the Central Line last Wednesday about 4 o'clock.
With a mask on.
With a mask on.
Yes, I was.
Brilliant idea.
Mike, wild swimmers, please.
Yeah.
I like this idea.
There's a lot of people doing this now, you know, and most of them are middle class. I don't think that is in any way a swear word, so I'm hoping that doesn't breach any kind of
I
regulation.
think that's all right.
Middle class who think they're like cyclists, elongating their lives by swimming in rivers, by swimming in the sea when it's cold, by swimming in ponds up in Hampstead. You know, these people are a
always do
literal
that, every day.
bane on society. So it so happens that I brought this up because this weekend, again, on a different day, at a different part of the beach, actually.
Whilst you were parked illegally.
Well, no, on this occasion, I was parked in a perfectly free place, a bay that did not need paying for, which is where I normally go. But Tiggy deserves to have a bit of variety, so I take him to different parts of the beach, right? So on this particular...
Unlike any other member of your family.
Yeah, they just deserve to be slagged off for being an absolute drain on my finances. Anyway, we've been there before. I'm going to do it again. So I'm walking down the promenade, right, because it's a bit too windy to be on the beach. And I see these two women. And there's a line of, you know, sort of beach huts. And there's also a line of what look like kind of industrial sheds. And these two women are not in one of the sheds. They're just standing kind of outside of it, getting into their swimming costumes. Both black, the swimming costumes, I think.
Please.
Sorry. And one of them... So both of them were quite, shall we say, going on in their years. And one of them actually didn't look bad. The other one looked pretty hideous, to be honest. And so I walked past them, right, with Ziggy, didn't think anything of it. They were sort of talking to each other and getting into these swimsuits. And I went down that way, and when I came back, they'd literally just been in the sea and had come back out of the sea and were standing there in the same costumes, obviously, about to sort of remove them, and they were sort of wrestling around and putting their clothes on. And I thought, because I'm that sort of a guy, I thought, this is about social interaction. So I just looked at the one who looked reasonable, and I said, "You guys are brave, getting into the sea like that." And she looked at me as if I'd just, said the most awful thing to her, scowled at me, didn't speak, just stared at me. I don't know whether she recognised me, because sometimes people do.
That could be it.
And then just
Didn't
thought,
like
there's
it.
that right-wing bigot.
hate you.
I don't know whether they were in a relationship together, as in a sapphic one, which might have made it like, "You're a horrible man, how dare you speak to me." But I was almost like, "Well, F you, darling, sorry."
I mean, you would
I was
imagine.
just trying to be nice.
Now, listen, this is probably the wrong time for me to admit that I
Yeah.
get in an ice bath every morning.
That's not the same as wild swimming.
And
Because you're not bothering anyone.
No, but
Do
the
that
thing is, it's supposed to release dopamine and make
That's
you happy.
fine. Well, they didn't look happy.
No, they're
This
quite
one was
obviously while
scowling at
swimming's
me.
not working.
What's the
for
point
them.
of that? Also, if you've got to swim in the English Channel, right, you've got to remember, particularly in Bexhill, up until relatively recently, is one of the most sewage polluted parts of the English Channel.
I mean, nobody's
In
wild
addition-
swimming in the Thames anymore.
In addition, well, not after old David Walliams nearly killed himself by swimming down from Oxford down to London. I just think, but it's another one of these virtue signalling things. People are not doing it because it's good for them. They're doing it
I
because
love
they're
wild
going,
swimming.
"Oh, look, I found this amazing beach in a river in Oxford, and I'm just going to go swimming with my 3-year-old. It's amazing." And you just go, "Oh, just shut up."
Liars, Kev, liars.
This is
Well,
great.
it's actually Prince Andrew.
Oh, you're specific.
our
Liars
producer
like
chap
Prince
has-
Andrew.
Liars like
he's
Prince Andrew.
diluted it.
Are there any liars like Prince Andrew?
No, I just said Prince Andrew, the liar.
Right.
In fact,
Nobody lies like Prince Andrew.
I mean, this guy. He's obviously a disgrace. Apart from his many other sins, he's just a total liar. So now it emerges. So you remember when he sat down with, how can we forget? He sat down with Emily Maitlis for that catastrophic interview on Newsnight.
Which he thought went well.
Mummy, I think it went rather well.
Did you notice a story came out this week? It was all headline news that somebody had suggested that the interview was ill-advised. That's headline news. I think we already knew that. But what did emerge from it is when he said to Emily Maitlis, when he stared her in the face, talking to the great British public on Newsnight, he said, "Yes, I went to New York to cut off all ties with Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted paedophile."
Yes.
And remember, he famously said, or notoriously said, "Sometimes I'm just too honourable."
Yes.
Anyway,
I've always said that about him.
I mean, it didn't ring true anyway, did it? You don't go to New York to say, "Hi, I've flown across the Atlantic just to tell you I'll never see you again." Anyway, so it turned out that it was total and utter
He flew
garbage.
all the way across the Atlantic to make sure that Jeffrey wasn't going to say anything
Well,
about
what happened was a month later,
Yes.
it turns out he emailed Jeffrey Epstein and said, "Yeah, sorry about New York. We will meet. We'll play again soon." So he didn't cut ties off with him. In fact, he made arrangements to play again
soon.
What do you think he meant by that?
well, I think we all know what he meant by that. The question about Prince Andrew, of course, is
Will he ever tell the
didn't in
truth?
any way do anything wrong.
What's
with
he for?
Virginia Giuffre, but he did give her $12 million not to go to court. And everybody goes, "Well, why did you give her $12 million?"
I put it to you this way: it's the world's most expensive massage. She
Yes.
gave him a massage. He paid her 12 million. And we've all done it, haven't we?
No.
Not
Yeah,
for
12
that
million
much, though.
quid massage.
Not for
Not
that
for
much.
12 million quid.
But
12
he's
12 million
just a,
bats.
he's a disgrace and he's a total
He
liar.
is.
And do you see that pubs? There's one pub that apparently is closed down because it believes, specifically because it was called the Duke of York.
Brilliant. I think the problem is he's such a liar. He should just join the government, shouldn't he? Join
Yeah.
the Labour Party.
Yeah, he'd be ideal.
He'd be liar in chief.
Cabinet minister.
He could make Keir Starmer look like an honest man.
Do you think when he was travelling to the States, he experienced what I experienced this week, which was a fantastically passive-aggressive flight attendant?
Oh, there's nothing worse.
So
Nothing worse.
We are on a small flight.
Is this you and the family?
Yeah, no,
What,
me
a
and
private
some
jet?
mates. Small flight. Me and some mates going over to Ireland last week.
Oh, right. Sorry. I went in America.
And as we're taking off, unbeknownst to me, my mate has thought, "Oh God, I haven't turned my phone off," right? And it's in the bag.
Yeah.
So he jumps up, gets the phone out, turns it off, sits back down. Once we're airborne, the very clipped Scottish lady comes up to him and goes, "Excuse me, sir, I just need to let you know that the captain would have been well within his rights to cancel the flight because you got up as
while he was
we were
taxiing?
taking off.
Oh, for God's sake.
And he went...
After the event.
He just looked at her and went,
Oh.
we're in the air now.
Yeah.
But it's when those kind of flight attendants feel they have to give you more information in a very clipped
like the
manner.
prime of Miss Jean Brodie.
Yeah. More
Yes.
information than is necessary at any given. They don't shut up.
Right.
They, you know, you're just there going, all right, enough with the announcement.
Yeah.
But that whole thing where they have some kind of power and they have to control the whole... It's like...
Because they treat you like children.
Yeah.
No, you can't have another drink.
It's not my first flight.
No. I'm actually fine. Yeah. I once had a run-in with some air marshals. Just after 9/11.
Had you been drinking your own urine at that point?
No, but I'd been drinking quite a lot.
Okay.
I'd been actually to the Mandarin Oriental for lunch in New York with a friend of mine who's now dead. So don't make
You
fun
really
of me.
are a lowlife, aren't you, Graham?
Yeah. And he was buying the most ridiculously expensive wine. And
So you had to drink it.
I had to fly back to Edinburgh that day. And I'm sorry if we're impinging on time here. We've got time for this?
Yeah, no, go for it.
And my sister came to join us. And it was a guy called Paul McBride. He was a great guy, lawyer. Very wealthy, very powerful, very good. He was a sort of press lawyer as well. He used to night edit the night lawyer, the paper for us. My sister came and I said to her, I'm so drunk that you should probably give me, and she ordered, those days she was working at Wall Street, so she ordered me a car to take me to the airport. I said, you should probably give me some of that lorazepam that you have.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need.
Because I may need to sleep on the plane. And then suddenly, as we approached Newark Airport, I panicked and I said, crikey, they're not going to let me through security with these. I better just take them. And she'd given me 3 of them, right?
Oh, no.
And I just put them into my mouth, swallowed it to water. By the time I got through security, if you'd asked me my name, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. I sat down in a bar and I literally couldn't move my legs. And anyway, I somehow managed to get on the plane, dragged myself on. I was like the last person on the plane. Yeah. And there was an old woman at the back, sat next to her, and there was a guy. And she was drinking Cointreau. I ordered a couple of red wines. I kept going up and getting more drinks, and this guy had to keep getting out of my way. And eventually, the waitress or the stewardess said to me, sorry, I can't give you any more to drink. I said, look, I'm just doing it for the old woman. You know, she wants another Cointreau. She's been to see her son. And this guy leans into me and goes, listen, guy, you can't have any more to drink. I said, what's it going to do with you? It turned out he was an air marshal, right? So I went back to the seat, as you do, and I started leafing through the book he was reading, and it was about Guns N' Roses. And he came back and grabbed it off me, and I said, it's not exactly Emily Bronte, is it, mate? And he went, you're this close to being arrested. And we had this huge to-do. They were going to like batter me down and
Are you saying this story doesn't end with you cable-tied and gagged on a flight?
They wanted
That's
to.
very disappointing.
At one point,
that would have been a great ending to this
At one point,
week's
he
show.
said to me, you're this close to being arrested. I said, actually, and I took a wild guess. I said, actually, we're in British airspace now, so you've got no jurisdiction, so you can F off and leave me alone. And so he had to, because we were, it turned out. And then when we were getting off the plane, I was shouting at him, going, I hope you're not bringing any guns into Britain, because in Britain, we don't allow people like you from the Wild West to shoot guns in the country, you know.
Americans love being snooty and superior about drinking.
Yeah,
don't
they do.
Have you been drinking, sir? Shut up.
And all
None
this,
of your
would you
business.
mind calming down? I'm like,
That's
no.
right, that's it. Yeah, always that.
So listen, that is all we've got time for
Is it?
this week. I'm disappointed that you didn't end up cable-tied.
Yeah.
But you can't have everything.
Listen, you can
big
pay money
thank
for
you
that.
to you, Mike.
Thank you very much.
And a big thank you to you, Kev. See you next week.